All right, everyone, RJ here. So we are just a couple of days away at the time of this recording of seeing the new Samsung Galaxy S series phones. So today I'm going to discuss the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra 2 years later. Alright, so as I stated earlier, the new Samsung Galaxy phones are going to be unveiled in a couple of days. The new Galaxy S24, S24 Plus, S24 Ultra. And so I'm going to give you my opinion on how the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra has held up over right at 2 years. Now, the Galaxy S22 Ultra has kind of been forgotten. It's kind of one of those phones that you just don't hear much about anymore unless it's negativity about the phone or this or that. The S23 Ultra is still pretty popular, but there's been a lot of things said about the S22 Ultra that, in my opinion, just ain't true, after owning it for 2 years. And I want to explain my experience, okay? So, whatever I say in this video is basically my own opinion, if you like it or don't like it. Now, as someone who has owned the S22 Ultra since its release and has continued with it, have I considered upgrading to the 23 Ultra? Yes. And I did over Black Friday of 2023 until I got scammed by Samsung. So maybe a video about that if you want to hear about that story, because yeah, it was kind of crazy. But I decided to stick with this one right here because I wasn't going to get screwed by Samsung. But this phone, it still offers a lot, and I think that even in 2024, and this phone going on 2 years old, it is still, in my opinion, worth buying, especially if you can get it for a really good price. There's really nothing wrong with it, okay? Now, yes, the S22 Ultra runs the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 that everyone complains about. So, I'm not really sure what I want to say in this video. I have no idea what's going to come out or how it's going to come out or how anyone's going to perceive it. So I'm just going to say it like it is, okay? I'm going to speak my mind. I don't care what anybody thinks. So, the 22 Ultra has been a fantastic phone that everyone seems to now hate. Also, the 23 Ultra got bumped up in the camera to a 200 megapixel camera instead of 108 megapixel, which honestly, I've seen some camera results and not much difference there. And the 22 Ultra even took better pictures in certain situations. But, like I said, I've had this phone for 2 years. I got it at release, and, I'm not really sure what kind of glass is on this phone. I don't know if it's Victus or what it is. I've never worn a screen protector on this phone, and yet I've not got a single scratch on this screen, which is good. I've been wearing a case, and also I always wear a case on my phone because these phones are really slick, very easy to drop. But that ain't the point of this video. There's been a lot of stuff about this phone said, a lot of, I wouldn't really say hate, but it's just, when the Galaxy S22 Ultra was released, it was like the best thing since sliced bread. Y'all remember, when it came out, it had the S Pen, which the 21 Ultra didn't have. And everybody was just talking about how great this phone was and how fast it was and how this and how that. And as the 23 Ultra was released, this phone just pretty much became garbage. There's no other way to put it. That might be the wrong term to say, but the way this phone is portrayed is that, it gets super hot all the time. Battery life is pure trash. It gets throttled down to this, throttled down to that. And I just don't see it. Okay. I have been using this phone quite often. 99% of my videos that I make for my channel, like this right here, is done from this phone right here, and you can see the audio quality could be a little bit better. My personal opinion, to me, it's a little too high pitched, but that's not really that important. But the camera quality, front and rear, is fantastic. This does have the 108 megapixel camera here on the rear, like I said. So really, the only two differences that I know of that are any kind of any importance is going from an 8 Gen 1 to the 8 Gen 2, and the ever so slightly bumped, resolution in the main camera. Now, is the 8 Gen 2 a better processor? Yeah, of course it is. Each year we get a little bit of a bump up, a little bit of speed boost in different processors. But if you take a 22 Ultra and a 23 Ultra, put them side by side, you really wouldn't know the difference. Maybe the screen is a little bit more curved on the 22 than the 23. Maybe some of the button placements are a little bit different. You know how Samsung and a lot of other manufacturers are. They got to make their phones just a little bit different, so the cases that you have for the previous phone won't quite fit just right. So that's kind of where I'm sitting at right there. And also, I'm not really sure who is in control of picking the color red for their phones. But I believe that they need to look at other red phones like the iPhone 8 or some other phones that had a very beautiful red, an actual red instead of this, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, that's kind of beside the point. But, I've heard about the throttling, well, the 8 Gen 1 was this or that, and I knew that it was not on Geekbench for a while. It's back on Geekbench now. I did run a test a little bit ago, and, well, as you've seen the test there, just very, very briefly, if you want to pause it for that quick second, that was the test that I did run. But you can see that this one here is clocked in at 3 gigahertz. It is on Android version 14 on One UI 6, and it just got updated to the January security patch this morning. Actually, I just checked it a minute ago, a little before I done this video, and there was an update for it. But this phone, it works super smooth. Now, I am at 30 frames per second recording right now, so if it looks a little bit choppy, it ain't the phone. It's just the 30 frames per second. All right, but the phone is still buttery smooth. I mean, I haven't experienced any kind of throttling. I've put this up against an 8 Plus Gen 1 and 8 Gen 2. And just for basic usage, I don't see any difference in performance. Now, I cannot really say about battery life. Now, battery life may be somewhere where it did improve, because the 8 Gen 2, I know on the OnePlus 11 that I'm recording on right now, does have really good battery life compared to this phone. But you are going from, a OnePlus to a Samsung, so there's different, skins and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of contributing factors goes in with battery life. We all know that. But I've heard some say that this was like throttled down to like a 700 series processing phone. I just don't believe it. Okay, I don't believe it. Now, this is gonna be one of those videos. I know I've already got into it quite a bit here, but I'm not gonna be doing any kind of speed tests. Okay. I'm not going to be doing any kind of gaming, none of that stuff. I'm just going to give you my raw experience that I've had with the phone over the 2 years that I've had it. And to sit here and say, I have used 700 series phones. I've used the 765G, the 778G, I've used the 750G, and this one right here has never felt like a 700 series phone. This phone is it's powerful. It works great. Now, does it get warm? Does it get hot? Yeah, it can. But like I always say, any phone's going to get hot if you put it under a lot of pressure. If you are playing graphic intense games, guess what? Your phone's going to get hot. If you're recording in 4K, 4K 60, your phone's going to get hot. If you got this phone in your car in a dash mount, guess what? It's going to get hot if you're using it. That's just any phone. I don't care what phone it is. So the Galaxy S22 Ultra, I think, is still a great pick, even going into 2024 with the new S24 series. And I know that, the S24, they're trying to, outdo Google with the AI and everything. And we've got to see what happens and all there. But, if you can get this phone right here for a good deal, I mean, I wouldn't pay an arm and a leg for it. Because it is 2 years old, but we know how Samsung is. They hold their value, and they stay expensive for quite a long amount of time. This phone has just worked really good. I don't have nothing really negative to say about it. I mean, the audio quality is good. The reception is solid. The call quality is fantastic. The screen quality is beautiful. I mean, the screen is just, man, one of the best displays on a phone, and it just works. Now, this phone did come out, I think, with Android 12. I don't think it was 13. No, it was Android version 12. It got 13. It got 14. So it should get Android 15. Go 3 years of OS updates, 4 years security patches. So Android 15 will probably be the last major OS update this phone gets. And then the year after that is when it'll stop receiving the security patches. I know security patches, and I know how things are and how people are now about security patches and OS updates. And, that's become like the most important thing in a phone now. But to call this phone a problem phone, or a phone that just overheated too much, or the battery life that doesn't get you 3 or 4 days, or the phone gets a little bit warm if you push it a little bit. If you put it in a case, you won't even really feel that it's even getting warm, to be honest with you. It's still a great phone. And as somebody who owns it, somebody who has used it solid for 2 years, if I had to give it a negative, I would say that the battery could be better. But I would say that this thing will play any game that you want to play on it. It's going to work. It's going to work fine. The S Pen, the S Pen is here, and it still works fantastic, with a phone, having absolutely no problems. And that's actually came in really handy. So, it may not be important to a lot of people, but, it makes signing documents and stuff like that I've had to do a few times a lot simpler. Having that S Pen, it's really nice to have. So I'm interested to see where they're going with the S24 Ultra. I guess it all depends on what they do. If I do trade in my 22 Ultra for the 24 Ultra, but if they don't want to give nothing for the S22 Ultra and they just kind of want to give you nothing for it, I honestly can say I am content to keep this phone for another year, couple, 2 or 3. If I don't buy another Samsung, they're going to have to really do something good. Okay. I do like what I'm hearing about the S24 Ultra, especially if they go with a flat display and this, that, and the other. That's going to be awesome, but really nice phone. Okay. Whatever you've heard negative about it, just ignore it. Okay. And there's been a lot of things said about it, and a lot of it is because a newer version comes out, so automatically the older version is trash. Like I said, when this phone came out, it was the best thing since sliced bread. Everybody loved it. It was this, it was that, and it didn't take long before it was, well, it has this problem and this problem and this problem and this problem and that problem. And I'm here to tell you that unless you are just extremely picky, unless you just get annoyed with every little thing with the phone, I think that if you pick up a 22 Ultra in 2024, if you want a phone, it's going to be cheaper. It's still getting updates. It looks just like the 23 Ultra. It's going to probably look just like the 24 Ultra. But it is the internals that do change. And I know that is important to a lot of people. If you want to stay current with going from the 8 Gen 1 to the 8 Gen 2 to the 8 Gen 3, and if they focus on AI, which I believe they're going to go into deep with that kind of stuff, and it's going to cause nothing but problems in the future. I see it coming. You heard it here. So some may agree with what I had to say. Some may disagree. Some may like what I had to say. Some may not like it. That is not important to me anymore. Okay? Regardless if it is a Pixel, a OnePlus, a Samsung, whatever, I do review on my channel. I want to give you the truth, but it's all based on my personal opinion, and it's because I own it. So that's all I want to say about it. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you didn't, whatever. If you're new around here and you're not a subscriber and you like this kind of video, this kind of content, and you just want it honest, then be sure to consider subscribing. So be sure to press that bell, turn on all notifications, and that would be appreciated. Y'all have a good one, and thanks for watching.